Good afternoon, everybody. I don't know protocol much, so I can't stand on it. Besides, I'm too big. If I stand on protocol, I guess all of us will collapse together with the protocol. But I'm very happy to be here for this very important endeavor put off by MMS. I also recognize Mrs. Chinwe Ezenwa, who is a vibrant personality within the maritime industry. And anytime I see her, I remember our friend, the late Mrs. Orakusi, who is also vibrant, the chairman of Trawler Association. She's into fishing and shipping and terminal operations. And many of us in that industry owe a lot of gratitude to them. Of course, we have Lami Tumaka, no need for introduction. Everybody knows Lami. So it's not that I go and see her downstairs. She drags me to do that. I would rather sit in my office. But we've had a very good relationship. And women, if supported, by legislations and by the judiciary, will do a lot of things. We have my colleagues at Nigerian Shippers Council. I've seen one or two of them. I'm very proud of them. They are, coming out to make impact. And this is gratifying to us. But I also will recognize the past First Lady of Kebbi State, Hajia Atiku Bagudu. Now, one thing you have to know about her is, First Ladies, when they come with their grandeur programs, they are temporary, they are fleeting programs. And as soon as the First Lady goes, that's all. But in her case, that is not what we have in Kebbi State. It is action in mass literacy. And this has pushed, the state tremendously towards attaining certain goals. There's also health delivery, because what we have or we lack is public health now. Everybody is suffering from, what are these diseases now? Hypertension and the other one. But there are so many, even the inoculation and so many other things, preventive health issues. The First Lady of Kebbi pushed that to a very, very satisfying performance. And we are very, very grateful to you. We wish you will not allow that to die. Maybe you'll come back to Kebbi and reside instead of Abuja, so that you'll continue with that program. Yes, that is the substance of women participation. So it's not women for women's sake. No, it's women because of merit, because of quality and dedication. It's like men, there are bad men, so also there's bad women. So we cannot have solidarity. We are not homogeneous. There are those who merit, excellence, and they should be supported. So I'm highly honored today to be the keynote speaker, even though there's nothing keynote about what I'm saying, because Ms. Ezenwa, Lami Tumaka have all addressed the issues. So for me, it's just to let you know that I have been an observer for MMS. MMS is a maritime newspaper, very, very influential and impactful. As a matter of fact, if you don't see the MMM for that week or that, then you are in trouble. As Lami has said, she had support from Kingsley. Kingsley is not a supporter, but he also calls for accountability. And he held us accountable to what we do when we are working with the government. So let me say straight up that I was closely, we closely monitored the growth, development of this particular endeavor to set up a Hall of Fame for deserving awards. But I think that Hall of Fame should be tightened a little bit. It's not my liking to see so many people. Hall of Fame is a sacred institution. It's not every person that you invite to Hall of Fame. No, there must be some criteria. There must be some eligibility. and of international standard, what impact have you made to that industry you are protecting? What changes have you brought? It's not a quota system. You know, that is, oh, we have to have number of, you know, female or number of women, or because you are a wife to controller general of this or immigration of that, so you are automatically a member or a Hall Famer, as Mrs. Ezra doesn't want us to say. So the whole issue is gender equality and the influencing policies of scaling leadership capacity in the digital economy. That is capturing gender equality and struggles behind it. Gender equality has started, you know, slowly, but is now a fundamental human right. So you cannot escape from it. It is just like the right to have assembly, okay? The right to speak your mind. So gender equality is also part of fundamental human rights. It's not something you dispense off with. It will not happen. We must accept that there must be gender equality. And this gender equality is nothing but opportunity. Give women the same opportunity that you give to men. Women are not asking you for patronage. They are capable, sometimes more capable than men. But it's the lack of access to education, lack of access to finance, lack of access to employment, and the usual harassment that we face that are obstacles to the development of women. I think the gender equality is also pivotal to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. That is, achieve gender equality, terminate discrimination and violence against women, and equal right to economic resources, opportunity, access to education, employment and career path, and even political platforms. So it's not that this political thing that we do, you have a woman leader, you know, she shouts, she takes all the women around. When you win election, you come to Abuja and you forget the women leader. You forget their agenda. No, women must, as of right, have economic and political access. They on their right could rule this country. You know, so it's not an aid that you dispense to women. They too could create that. So women, please, let's have an agenda. Anybody who is coming to you and said, vote for me, what is your agenda? What is your view about circumcision of genital mutilation? What of your view about early marriage? When women are sent to marriage as early as 10 or 9 or 10. What is your view about statutory rape? And then what about your view about empowerment? You know, empowerment of women, access to resources. It's not that you what do you call it? Grindstone or all this kind of, you know, thing and give it to women and then you hop to Abuja. It's no, women should define their own agenda. And that's what this equality is about. So it's part of democracy. We can't have democracy if we don't have women participation. And the participation is not just to tag along. No, participation to formulate policy. Because what women equality means is inclusion. There are so many people outside the economy. That's why our economy is not doing well. If you go, you see the informal economy. You know, it's much. But the formal economy is not there. And women do all sorts of things. If you are to pay your wife the wages of taking care of their children, taking care of your home, you will not be able to afford it. So women spend most of the time not thinking, but do it, and yet they are hardly compensated. Women must be emancipated from such kind of primitive way of life. So equal status of the sexes, 1984 UN Charter, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. These are all international conventions, international resolutions which support women. So in that respect, we have the support. But it is also back home in Nigeria, the struggle for economic right of women have been steady and I think fruitful. as someone has said before me, no, now you cannot mess with women. Please, women, don't allow anybody to mess up with you. You have the strength to look for your rights and fight for your rights. You have been doing that. You have broken this glass ceiling, I think, but it has to be continued, you know, it has to be sustainable. So economic growth, social justice, and production. The shipping industry, let's come back to our industry, is male dominated for a long time, because when we talk about the ship, it's isolated somewhere, it's not accessible, and women on ship working is something strange. And then they suffer all sorts of abuses. I'm not saying that by the sailors or anything, but there is discrimination. So women suffer 2 times. First, for being a woman. Secondly, for being disadvantaged as in poor. So this is double jeopardy, as you like to call it in law. So we have to have education, it has been suggested here, access to institutions. I was talking with, getting information about this paper, and I noticed that there is 12% female population in Maritime Academy of Nigeria. That is the average. In 2018, there were 27 female cadets, that is, if you like. In 2021, it dropped to 14. In 2022, there are 26 women cadets. And in 2023, there are now 28. But we need to do more. In northern Nigeria, particularly, we have little knowledge of the maritime industry, especially in shipping. I have told the rector, who is a very, very active person, and the Maritime Academy of Nigeria, if you had been there 10 years or 8 years ago, you go there, you won't recognize it. They have made tremendous progress. They have an international studentship now. Students coming all over the world to Maritime Academy of Nigeria. That's the center. That's the core of shipping. So there must be recruitment. This guiding and counseling we used to have when we are, you know, in secondary schools, when most of you were not born. I think that should be one of the targets of this Hall of Fame or MMS, to find a way of recruiting. Because if you exclude a large percentage of your population, then the economy will not grow at all. I think also it is important to make a distinction, because Kingsley mentioned it, between gender equality and gender parity. Now, gender equality is giving the people or the woman the same chances as you give to man. Okay? And that is imperative. But what is disturbing now, and this is a trend, is gender parity. That means numerical ability. Oh, we have to have 50 senators. We have to have 30, you know, and all that kind of thing. No, that should be discouraged. People should be able to merit what they are going to have. It's not just the amount of women, no. We need women of substance. We need women of quality. We need women, because women who are promoted into or employed into certain sectors or part of the maritime industry, and they don't have knowledge, they are taken advantage of. That's why you have sexual harassment, molestation, and so on. But a woman who knows her onions, a woman who is educated, who come to a place because of merit and not for any patronage, no one can joke with her. So it is important we discuss gender parity and accept gender equality. And Nigeria has signed and ratified conventions that make it necessary for an employer to recognize this equality. Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, African Charter on Women and People's Rights. These are just a few examples. The judiciary itself, has been very, very active in trying to bring out this or to stop this discrimination. In the case of Weller versus AG, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, the police force regulation 124 of the Police Act require women police officers to obtain permission to marry. They have to obtain permission from the police institution to marry. This was declared unconstitutional. You don't need any permission from anybody to get married. Secondly, in Iyala versus Amadi and the Nigerian Immigration Services, the rule for the immigration was if you want to travel abroad, you have to obtain permission from your husband. Why? So the court nullified that and said, no, that is discriminatory. Also, of course, many of you know the case of Moje Kunu versus Ijekema. Nigerian court rendered as unconstitutional the customary practice that daughters are barred from inheriting property left by their fathers. So we need also intervention. And I think MMS should also adopt this. There are a lot of lawyers here. Lawyers can look at the employment laws of every organization and find real or traces of discrimination and go to court, and court will grant you, will stop that. So this is also another way of looking at discrimination. I think it is very important that our advocacy remains active. We have to recognize excellence and achievement. We know that Hall of Fame, there are serious things. In the United States, in UK, whoever is inducted into Hall of Fame, you know, must have done something significant. And that's why somebody said, the famous maritime historian, you know, she said that Hall of Fame in the maritime industry have made contribution to those who have made impact. It's those who made impact. Please don't make your Hall of Fame an all-comers affair. Make sure people deserve and merit that. I'm also, to round up, because I said I was not going to take more than 10 minutes, going to speak on the maritime industry still, which is our focus. We must have significant, impactful, solid, easily recognizable, acknowledged achievements. We have to have criteria. How do we select somebody into the Hall of Fame? Is it just by wins on car prizes? I've seen Kingsley, for example, just said, okay, somebody, you are going to be inducted, or I'm going to induct you, or something. There must be criteria, gentlemen. That is to make it very, very important. It is quite significant for us to do so. I must commend all of us, you know, for being here to look at the issue of gender equality. Now, without gender equality, we are depriving the many people, many segments of the population from active participation in the maritime industry, and I guess others. But I just want to ask whether the Hall of Fame, Kingsley, is virtual or is it physical or is it a hybrid? Okay, because it is important we leave significant landmark for archival reasons to inspire our women to make that Hall of Fame. I'm sure by the end of this, we will think about the legal services we can offer. We can think about mentorship. But for everything we do, ladies and gentlemen, there must be merit. Thank you very much.